Okay, so this wiring diagram I'm going to be talking to you about today is for the Cooper S. So Morris Cooper S 1966 model is the particular car the wiring harness is going into. Throughout this restoration, I wasn't the person that removed the wiring harness, so I've had to look at the circuit diagrams, look on the internet to try and work out what every part of this particular wiring harness is for. So I'm going to start at the end, and when I say the end I mean this end of the cable anyway. So there's one long piece which goes throughout the engine bay and then the dash, and then there's a second wiring harness that connects from near where the dash is to the back of the car for the rear lights and so on. So let's start down this end up here. So off the main branch, so this is the very start here off the main branch, this set here, they go to the starter relay and the starter motor. This one here plugs into the alternator. So this wiring set is designed for a Mini which is using an alternator rather than the older generator, and I'm going to be wiring this for negative earth as well. Okay, so that's alternator. This set here, let's just talk you through those ones. This particular one with the extra plastic on it is for the thermostat, so that goes to the engine block, or actually goes to doesn't go to the engine block. It must go to the head. I'm sure there's a sensor screws into the head. Okay, the white and grey one, that goes to the oil filter. This pair here go to the coil, and then the white and black one on its own goes to the distributor. Now on the other part of that branch, this bit here, that goes to the left hand side indicator. Now this set of wires here, they go to the headlights. Now they need an additional wiring loom and then connections to go directly to the headlights. So the red one is the park lights, and I'm not sure can't remember which order these ones are, but one of them is normal beam, one of them is high beam, and the black connection is ground. Okay, the purple one here, now this part would be in the engine bay, so that's where the horn connects to. This wire here leads off to the right hand indicator. Moving along, this junction point here, that screws, there's like a little triangle shaped piece of metal, that one screws into the grounding point there. Then just below that is where you'll mount your indicator flasher. So those 3 green wires go to the indicator flasher, and then this goes down to the brake line where there's a little brake switch. Well, there's a little switch in the brake line, so when the pressure builds up, that's what makes the rear brake lights go on. Okay, moving along, we've reached the fuse box. So it's pretty much all of the white wires go to that terminal, and they are numbered. That's terminal 3. Terminal 1, it just has 1 brown wire to it. Terminal 2, 2 purple ones. Terminal 4 has 3 green wires. So that's getting closer to the firewall, and then we'll follow along a bit more. Now this section here is what is near the instrument cluster. So you've got a whole bunch of little cables here. All of that lot go to the instrument cluster. You're going to have to look at the wiring diagram. I'm not going to go through each of these specifically what they're for, but if you search the internet you'll find wiring diagrams with the colours. This set here of these blue cables, they all go to the dipper switch. I still need to investigate how that one works, because there's no hole on the firewall for it to go through, so I need to work out how that one works out. This set up here is for the indicator stalk. That's the indicator stalk. This red and white one on its own there must be separate lights for the oil and temperature gauges, so that's what that's for. This one here is just an earthing point, so that could be used in conjunction with those, I don't know yet. So that's a dipper switch, I just said that one. Now these set of red wires, these go to a separate switch which is mounted underneath where the speedo unit is. and that switch will activate the lights for the dash. So when the normal headlights are on, the dash lights don't automatically come on. You need to use that switch. Unless you want to probably bypass it like you would in a modern car. I don't know, you can do that. Alright, so at the end of this bit here, these go to the switches, the flip switches. So this one is for the ignition. You've got a brown and blue, red and white, and a yellow and a white wire. They all go to the ignition switch. So refer to the diagram as to which pin they get connected to. This set here go to the light switch, and these two go to the wiper motor switch. So there's 3 different switches on that console. Now I just need to backtrack a bit. So now the wiring harness that goes to the back of the car plugs in at this point over here. So those connections match up with the connections on this section that goes to the rear. But this wire that's coming towards the end, that is for the wiper motor. So there's a black wire and a black and green wire. They're for the wiper motor. So this is where the rear set loom plugs into. So that's where I'm going to just finish off with now. So that's the rear loom. The first thing you'll see is a door switch. So I would assume that one would lead to the left hand. No, I'd have to go to the right hand door and sort of go back along in that direction, because this is sort of starting to go up into the roof now. So that would be the right hand door. I would assume this bit here would be the left hand door. So that's the left hand door here. And then on the left hand side of the car, above the driver's door, is where the interior light is. So there, the wiring for the interior light. And then there's not much for a bit. Then we get to the back of the car. Then it branches off into 2. So this set here, the white and black are for the fuel pump. The green and black are for the fuel level sender. So to tell you if your tank's full or empty. Now just backtrack a bit up to here. Now these ones, of course, are for the tail lights and indicators. So this set here is for the left-hand indicator, tail light and brake light. The wiring junction here, or that's just an earthing point. These 2 are here are for the number plate light, which is on the boot lid. And then the very end ones here are the right-hand side, tail light, brake light and indicator. So that pretty much sums it up. So I went to the effort of labelling it all, just so I know once it's installed, I'm fiddling around, I'll know what they are. But if you don't see the wire, I'll probably just leave the labels on just to make things a bit neater. So the way I did it, I used a voltmeter just to work out things based on the colour code. I used an old book, also used an online wiring diagram too. So just to explain, this device here, the voltage regulator, that doesn't get used, and people that are converting their car to negative earth and bypassing this or using an alternator, the wiring that you do with this, I would assume is already done inside the cable. So that we don't need anymore. This device here is just a push starter. I don't know why this is included in the parts that I was given. It's likely that it may have just been just from another car, but I'm not too sure. I don't think it was used. Okay, so the only other thing I need to do is just add on a couple of fuses into that, and then that's the fuse cover. Alright, I'll leave it there and we'll have a look at installing it. Okay, so let me give you a bit of an update so far. So I had to play with the wiring harness, fitting it. Let me just turn these lights on and you might be able to see a bit better. Actually, I'll open up the door. It's a nice day outside. So I've fitted the harness. So this is the part in the engine bay. I'm just not exactly sure about the spacing between that part there. Fuse box sort of fits in there nicely. I might have to fiddle adjust bits around. And then apparently this part of the looms, that all needs to sit under here properly. Man, that's loud. That bit is the wiring harness that leads up into the back, which I've threaded through already. And pretty much all you need to do to get the wiring harness, if you look up on YouTube, Matt Green has done one. You thread it through the top here, comes out this hole just here. The same issue that Matt Green had, the wires for the interior light. Interior light gets fitted up here, but I think they do that in case you want to wire one up into the roof in the middle, but we don't want to do that. So the wiring harness runs along here, and you can see it just sticking there behind the back window. And then it goes from there, runs into the, so it comes down here, and then just runs straight into the boot. And it's pretty self-explanatory. So that's what we've connected up so far. It's a bit windy today. I'm going to shut that roller in a second. Don't want it to blow too much dust. Okay. Paint's looking good, but that will, I'll leave that for about a week before I do any polishing on it. Okay, so I've ordered some new brackets for the fuel tanks because these ones that are supplied are not even the right ones. So I've ordered those. So the next job will be to fit the fuel tanks and then the electric pump which goes underneath. And just get that back end sorted. Now with the rubber grommets, you can't buy them anymore. So I just got the ones which are nearest to the right size, and then I'll cut a hole in it for whatever's going through the pipe and all that. Also, the other thing I purchased were these are for like alarm boxes, and they're called tamper switches. So I've got those, and I'm going to see if they will work for the door switches. So that's the progress so far. Threading the wiring isn't that much of an issue, it's just more of the case of getting the position correct, just so here is okay and all that. So that threads in there. Okay, I'll leave it there and get on to it. Okay, so I've connected up the terminals again, and what I've done this time now, I've had a bit of a play around. I've connected up, I've got the relay started, but I need to put a better lead onto here because that is coming from the battery. I don't know if that's going to hold on there. I need to fix up that terminal to do some better testing, because once I've got it powered up we can test. So that's all got power to it now. Come in here, I've connected up the ignition key, so then there's a voltmeter up there on 0. See if I can get this to sit. Oh, I can't do this with 2 hands. I need 2 hands. So we'll try that. I might just balance that on the steering wheel a second. No, that's not going to work. But anyway, here's the key. 1 click, and then 1 more click. Should get us going. I need to get one of those tripods for this. Okay, here we go. So that clicking noise is the starter relay. So things are happening now. Now that I've got the electric sorted, I'll fix up that terminal, and then I can start testing things in the electrics. Alright, better disconnect that terminal. I might put a fuse just here, because that way if I mess things up, the fuse will blow instead of stuffing things up. Okay, alright, that's it for now. And hopefully I'll have something connected a bit later to show you. Okay. Alright, I'll just show you what I've done here in the engine bay. So this piece here, that's the ignition relay. So the black wire with the red end on it, I fixed that one up and put a nice terminal piece on there, so that bolts on. So that goes from the battery to here, the positive. I'll just put the electrical tape on there just in case, I don't know, wires fall down and touch on it. So that's how that is set up. The other bundle goes to the alternator, and everything else is labelled. So that's that bunch there. This lot, which are just right here, just there, those ones are for the lights. So I'll need to sort out, either make another harness for that or just manually do it. What else? The wiring that goes to the rear, I've sort of made it just come down so where the those bunch of wires with the white tape on the top of there, that will connect to that bit up there. So I'll connect that up later. I think that's how it's meant to connect. It can connect on the other side inside the car, but I'm thinking it needs to go like that. But a bit more research maybe. All right. I've been playing around with the indicator flasher because I connected it up. I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working, but it wasn't enough load. So you need to have two light globes, obviously the front and rear for each side connected up, in order for it to be enough load to actually make the flasher work. Otherwise the bulb just stays on. So that's working now because I've got two light globes in the circuit. Where my initial tests, I only had just one connected, and then the light globe would just stay on. So if I disconnect that, just so we've only got one globe in the circuit, and you'll notice that the light globe just stays on. So that's kind of like a, I guess they call that a safety feature, to let you know that one of your indicators isn't working if they don't flash. So just before I finish up this, because I'll upload this just this initial video to just on the wiring to harness and all that. That's all ready to go. So I'll just explain this flasher unit because that's one thing that confused me a bit. I'll just get into the light. So there's a few pins on the bottom. So this particular flasher unit, I'll just show you the numbers on it. So this particular one, if you have a look on here, so the X is the current coming into it, and then the L is the load, so the L goes to the actual indicator lights, and the P goes towards the dash light. So the way I just connected it up then, I only had the X and the L connected, so the X is coming from the battery, L is connected directly to the bulbs, and then that worked that way. So the P goes to the dash lamp, or depending on what instruments you got set up, you might have the Stalk with the green light on it. And then the wiring over here for the flasher unit, the way I worked this out, I looked on the internet, had to look in a few different forums. I'm just going to the light again. So that is what I needed to do. So I think that's correct now. So the green wire, the solid green, is the positive, and that's just going to the B, or on the original flasher it's a B, so the X on this one. And then green is the P, is the one that goes to the pilot light. So these two you switch around if you got them in the wrong way. And it doesn't matter about negative or positive earth. So this particular vehicle, I've set it up as negative earth because you want to get some tunes pumping on the stereo. So the flasher unit doesn't really matter. So that's the current going in is one terminal, the X or the B. P goes to the dash light, and L is the load, which is the light bulbs. Alright guys, I'll leave it there, and then we'll upload this one. And the next thing I want to put in is the fuel pump. I needed to order some more brackets for the fuel tanks, because the ones that I was given, they're not even for this car. So I've ordered those, and then I want to get the wiring sorted out for the fuel pump, and then we can sort out the wiring for the lights, and then the fuel tanks can go in and get connected up. And then that's the back end done. I want to get all that sorted before the headliner goes in. Okay, alright, that's it for now. Thanks for watching my videos.